be the Joey Diaz method, right? I don't know if he's circumcised or not. I think the Chinese Communist Party might circumcise you and steal your foreskin to, create baby medicine and stem cells and things like this. They might let you keep it so that it's harvestable later and it's got a blood supply. I'm not sure.
I had to break the machine. I would put like pool cleaner. I would put pool cleaner in my turtleneck because I'm uncircumcised.
Wait, if you need...
no, exactly. Yeah, you got to put bleach or some shit right there
on your dick.
Well, if you...
He gets the fruits free. It's the cocoa fruit. It's the cocoa fruit of the cocoa tree.
So recently, Lu Xiaojun's team has shown some training footage of his comeback for 2024, and people are, kind of in awe of how much muscle mass and strength he's actually lost. He looks like a different person. Some people are actually speculating that this is a different person, that it's a piss double, right? That someone has hired for him to pass his tests. This might be how he passes his drug test, because he looks a lot different, right? Obviously not just the muscle mass, but in the face. But when you take this much androgens, you get a lot of bloat in the face, right? He's at a higher weight and probably has more fat on him here. Just having more muscle mass. You also do hypertrophy, like the jaw and the neck and things like this. So it's kind of silly. But there are, 1.7 billion people in China. A lot of people to choose from. We're not saying they all look the same. It's just a big player pool. So, the CCP has done some pretty shady things. But people are wondering, why are they exposing this, right? Because it puts them in a bad light. Because obviously the speculation is, well, he must have been on a lot of drugs. We already knew this, of course, people that follow the sport. But even, so-called, casuals are now thinking this. And we're going to see that he's got a lot of acne and stuff like this. So, why the hell would they do this? It's quite bold. Well, I think whatever method they're using to pass the tests, it's so sophisticated at this point, whether they're using designer drugs or they just bought people off or they have a piss double or whatever. They're not worried about that anymore. So what they're focusing on is they want to make him the most decorated Olympian of all time, because this is Piros Dima. He had 3 golds and 1 bronze. Right now, Lu Xiaojun has 3 golds, and he's going for, his 4th Olympics. So if he can get a silver or better, or a bronze, he ties, right? He's going to be the most decorated Olympian weightlifter of all time. So I think the story of coming back from the lockdowns and malnutrition and being stuck at home and all this stuff to the most decorated Olympian of all time, I think that storyline matters more to them than any kind of speculation that they might get, because they lie to these people, right? This is where we start seeing some of his lifts and just how much they've changed. We're also going to show how much they change, how much he develops just day to day, week to week in his training. So this is his squat. I just want to show you this is just for a cursory search. This is one of the maximal squats I could see him do. This is in 2019. Keep in mind he would be at a slightly higher body weight because he competed at 81 and now he's at 73, I believe. So, he's lost some weight, but that was 270 kilos and it looked convincing. He had a little more in the tank. This is 30, 60, 90, 110, 130. This is 150, right? 330 pounds. A little faster than the 270, as you'd expect. But, that's insane. We're going to see here he does, I think, a double or a triple. He's got, maybe 4 total reps that he could have done, 5 at the most, right? The third, he's starting to grind. He could probably eke out a 4th. The 5th would be ambiguous whether he's going to make it. So let's say he has 4 reps at 150. That's insane to go from 270 to 150, even if you've lost body weight, right? So this is the first deadlift we see. 30, 60, 90, 110, 130, 150, 170. So this is at 170, right? He's done a 260 deadlift. I also want to focus on his form. Look at how it looks identical, the speed and everything. It's very slow off the floor, and then right when it gets to knees, he makes the lockout look more convincing, quicker, which suggests a quad weakness. And we're going to see this in multiple lifts that he has, right? So the speed at which he does that, it looks identical here. Like they're equivalent RPEs, right? Slow, and then he gets the lockout, and even the shoulder shrug looks about the same speed. So he's lost an intense amount of strength, an amazing amount of strength. The Chinese like doing these croc rows with a lot of body English. I like this for athletes. It incorporates some more obliques, some more torso and core. It's better. Now we're going to get to some of the snatches, which I think are the most significant loss, because you expect maybe maximal strength to go down very much like powerlifting strength for a short period of time. But I mean, this is 90 and he's having trouble with it. Some people have speculated that these actually might be misses, that he's not just doing a double. And I think that's the case, because we're going to see that he can't stand this up. I'm not sure if it's on this clip or week 2, but he has trouble standing up 110. Or sorry, 90. Let me find it, because it's an important comparison. Yeah, it's here. Okay. So this is 90 kilos. Keep in mind, let's look at his world record at a similar body weight, right? This is not the most he's ever done, but at a similar body weight, because this would have been at 77, so he did 176, right? He's doing 90 here. And he can't stand it up. He can't stand it up. And again, we see this quad weakness, right? Because right here, about parallel, and then right above, that's when your quads are maximally activated, right? We see this diagram. Maximum quadriceps, right, is this blue here. So we see it's just around parallel, right? Just a little bit above and below to about 135 degrees. So that's when the quads are maximally activated on an EMG. EMG, I forget what it stands for, electromagnetic something. It electrically measures how much output of your muscles, how much your muscles are being contracted. So it's not a perfect measure, but it's a good measure, because it's objective, it's scientific. It's not based on someone telling you how they felt, which is subject to errors and personal biases and things like this, right? Again, we see they do these croc rows, which they like to do. Let's go to the first one again, because this is a squat later on in the week, right? Now he's doing 30, 60, 90, 110, 130, 150, 170. So he's added 20 kilos. It looked pretty difficult. And remember, he did 150 for 3. So, okay, did he add weight to this? 30, 60, 90, 110, 130, 150, 170. 170. I thought he did 190 for some reason, but yeah, let's see how easy this is for him. It's harder now. No, it's difficult, right? So he's still having trouble. But let's look at how much strength he's gained from week 1 to week 2, right? It's insane how much he gains in this minimal amount of time. Obviously, his mobility is still good. One thing I want to point out is you will notice, a lot of people point this out, that he's making like appreciable size gains also. Like let's look at his back, right? His back looks much more muscular than it did prior, and his back is one of his best like genetic points and in like an aesthetic aspect. But part of this is just inflammation, right? Because of course he's putting on so much muscle so quick. You know, you go back to the gym, you haven't been there in a while, and you get delayed onset muscle soreness, and like a pump. You know, you curl your biceps and you get a pump, and it looks bigger for like a day, and then it's like, where did it go? This is obviously occurring. So while he is making like appreciable gains that you could measure on like a DEXA scan, a lot of this is going to be inflammation. So this is 60, 110, 160, 182. This is 200 kilos now. He's squatting 200 with about the same ease that he was doing 150 and 170 the week prior. Now he's doing 220, right? Am I crazy, right? I have to double check these because it's so crazy to my brain that like I don't believe my own math, right? 60, 110, 160, 180, 200, 220. So he's up to 220 from 150. 150 for like 3, and now he's doing a 220 for 1. And he had 170 for 1 in the first. So he's put 50 kilos on his 1 rep max squat in 1 week. 110 pounds in 1 week. This is a frame that really illustrates just how much acne he has, right? He's got all this, he's got this, like all this shit. Now, I think someone might get shot in the back room for this, because this is just a bad look no matter what, right? And he had his shirt on, and I think it got put up accidentally, and someone just kept filming and put this into the full footage, and without thinking about what it actually shows. Now, some people have speculated, well, the Chinese, they do all these weird like cupping things, like they create like a very circular pattern, or they step on them, like they hit them with bamboo. They do all these kind of alternative medicine things, but that patterning is clearly acne. So for someone who's never had acne that we've seen significantly in his training past, at least I'm not aware of it, to now get that in his late 30s, this is someone who's taking like grams of gear, like over a gram, right? Now, when we talk about genetics, we also have to consider someone's genetic ability to respond to drugs. Like if they respond to less drugs, so with less side effects, for example, they obviously have more longevity, and they're less likely to have to, put the brakes on. So these things matter a lot in terms of success in a sport that is this dirty, right? Say 60, 200, right? So he's doing 200 deadlifts here, and remember he was struggling with much less than that. I think it was 150, 170 that he was struggling with. He's doing even more now, right? He added 20 kilos to this. So again, his squat and his deadlift, he's added like 50 to 70 kilos in 1 week. It's just an insane transformation. This just does not happen to anybody, right? Even in terms of like percentage, you take like an abject beginner on the best program ever and put them on steroids, and someone who can lift like the bar, right, for like a bench, 45 pounds. Do you ever see them lift 90 pounds the next week? No, maybe they get to like 75, right? Like we've all seen this, like with either teenagers or people who take their first blast, right? The weaker you are relative to your maximum genetic limit, even with drugs, without drugs, whatever. Obviously, the more gains you can make quickly. But I mean, this is just an insane transformation that I've never seen anything this quick, which is why it's an interesting case study. Very slow with this rep, but it looks good. Snatch grip deadlifts are harder than regular. How much is he doing here? 30, 60, 90, 110, 30, 150, 170, right? So remember, he was struggling with like 150 with regular grip. So snatch grip, probably about 20%, 25% harder than regular deadlift, especially once you add in the deficit of maybe 2-inch deficit or so, 1.5 inches, 2 inches. Doing these activation drills. This is to open up the hips, get the adductors working, get the glutes firing. So this is 220 that he's going to be doing for about the same ease as he did 170 for one, right? Just put 50 kilos on his squat in 1 week. This is what we're witnessing now. This is the limits of human potential. Obviously, with some augmentation, right? Of course, when they clone people for piss doubles, they probably also have the technology to do some pretty cool things with designer drugs. It might be the way he's skirting the test. Might be his piss double. It might be that they've just paid everyone off. It might be a combination of things. It might be the Joey Diaz method, right? I don't know if he's circumcised or not. I think the Chinese Communist Party might circumcise you and steal your foreskin to, create baby medicine and stem cells and things like this. They might let you keep it so that it's harvestable later and it's got a blood supply. I'm not sure.
I had to break the machine. I would put like pool cleaner. I would put pool cleaner in my turtleneck because I'm uncircumcised.
Wait, if you knew...
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, you got to put bleach or some shit right there.
On your dick.
Well, if you knew you were going to do that, why did you keep drinking the vinegar?
I've seen this clip 1,000 times. It still makes me fucking laugh. But, yeah, I don't know, man. It is really cool though that we're seeing the absolute limits of human potential here. Like this is what an athlete with the best genetics, the best program, the best circumstances, the best drugs, uh, all things going for him can actually accomplish, right? So this is like the limits of human potential that we're witnessing here. And obviously, when you got 1.7 billion people to choose from that don't all look the same. No, we're not saying Chinese people all look the same. It's just a big player pool to choose from, right? No, we're saying they all look the same. But that's not the point. The point is that this is a cool case study in, what the absolute maximal potential that we have to engineer performance, athletic performance, can do with someone who's detrained in 2022 with our methods, right? Because the CCP puts a lot of stock into their outward appearance and their perception of dominance and things like athletics, and yeah, just an insane transformation, and really really cool to see. Uh, Obviously, a lot of speculation involved, and you can come up with it with your own opinions at the end of the day. But all the authorities like Derek, Weightlifting House, uh, people like this Zach Tillander, the boys from Sika, like they all agree. Like, it's a lot of drugs. It's a lot of drugs.